Welcome, everyone, to another exciting semester of SES 681 seminar, coming to you live with the best from the DCS Metroplex and beyond. We're very fortunate to have Dr. Dariusz Malinowski. He's a plant physiologist and professor at Texas A&M AgriLife Research and Extension Center in Vernon. Looks like it might be a little rainy or snowy up there today. Dariusz's weather feed. He leads forage and ornamental plant breeding program. Malinowski's early work was centered around the effects of asymptomatic fungal endophytes on abiotic stress tolerance in cool season grasses. His current research focuses on integrated cropping and grazing systems research with emphasis on forage crops, ecological and physiological bases for adaptation and productivity of cool season perennial grasses in low rainfall environments, including development of adapted cultivars using traditional breeding approaches. He and co-workers have successfully introduced cool season perennial grasses from the Mediterranean region with summer dormancy traits to semi-arid environments of the southern Great Plains and initiated breeding program for summer dormant tall fescue, orchard grass, and heat-tolerant perennial ryegrass in collaboration with industry partners. And a portion of his research in collaboration with animal nutritionists and wheat breeders is focused on wheat forage production and quality. Malinowski has been interested in morphological and physiological traits to be used as selection tools and breeding programs for dual-use wheat cultivars with improved forage production and reduced bloat potential. I know I don't like to bloat myself. This led to a discovery of a relationship between diurnal patterns of phenolic accumulation in wheat and foam stability as a measure of bloat potential. Results of his research helped select wheat breeding lines with high and stable phenolic concentrations to prevent bloat occurrence in grazing cattle. Malinowski also leads a state-of-the-art breeding program of winter hardy and tropical hibiscuses, which is what he's going to talk about today. He and his collaborators were the first to introduce blue and numerous other novel flower colors in winter hardy hibiscus. Many of their hybrid hibiscus cultivars being commercialized, with more being evaluated by industry partners each year. I haven't seen any of these at our local nurseries, but I'm dying to get my hands on some. Malinowski received Merit Award from the American Forage and Grassland Council for his work on summer dormant cool season forage grasses in 2006. Special recognition by the Texas Senate for his outstanding hibiscus breeding program in 2021. That's pretty impressive. Okay, Dariusz, take it away.
Thank you, Scott, for the introduction. So today, and good evening, good afternoon, everybody. I will be presenting the more colorful part of my research program, the hibiscus breeding program. And especially I would like to focus on the unique flower traits that we have developed so far, and showing you some very interesting patterns that we started to see in our hybrids. The flowers started to be very similar to tropical hibiscuses, which I think is extremely exciting. So let's start. Just a very short introduction. What is the genus Hibiscus? So it contains about a little over 300 annual and perennial species belonging to the family Malvaceae, the same family cotton belongs to. And they are all among the oldest flowering plants on Earth. Hibiscus species grow on all continents except for Antarctica and have adapted to environments ranging from temperate to tropical. Perennial hibiscus consist of winter hardy types, which are divided in two groups, herbaceous and woody types, and tropical hibiscus, which mostly are shrubs or trees. And we will particularly focus on one section of the genus, the section Mancosia, which contains all our native winter hardy herbaceous hibiscuses here in the United States. There's 5 of them. And there's another section, Bombicella, that also contains native hibiscuses to the United States, but they are grown on the deserts. Very interesting group too. I think have a huge potential for future breeding, especially if we stay in the dry conditions for a longer time. And the second group, as I mentioned, of winter hardy hibiscuses are the woody winter hardy hibiscus species that are native to China, and there are shrubs and trees. One of them is very known for all of you, probably the Syriacus or the Rose of Sharon. What was the inspiration, my inspiration when I started the program? Maybe a few words how the program started. The first time I have seen a hibiscus was at Walmart in 2004 when I bought a house and I needed some plants for the yard. So it looked pretty good, and I purchased whatever they have, the three colors they have at the time, the red, the white, and the pink, and planted them, and I was very happy all summer long with them. They bloomed basically until frost. And then I started to read about them a little bit and see if I can buy more with more colors, and I found very quickly there are no more colors in them. But I came across statements by two of hibiscus breeders from very, very past. The one is Mr. Kennedy from Dublin, Ohio, who believed at the time, 60 years ago, that our native winter hardy hibiscuses possess the potential, at least, to be bred like the tropicals. I mean, we will have more colors and more flower shapes. Georgia Bost, the late Georgia Bost, also known as the Texas hibiscus woman from Waller, also believed that extensive hybridization among our native herbaceous winter hardy species eventually will result in appearance of new flower colors, similar to flower colors developed in the tropical Chinese hibiscus in the past 400 years. So it didn't take 400 years, it took way much less. When I started to hybridize them, of course, after 2 years, I have no space in my yard for anything else. So I engaged two of my friends, the late Steve Brown, who at that time was a director of the Texas Foundation Seed Service, and my friend Bill Pinchak, with whom I cooperated on other projects. And of course, next 2 years, their yards were full with plants, and then we have to decide what to do next. So finally, the program became an official part of my program here at Vernon, and we planted first, I believe, was about 2,000 hybrids in 2010, and I date it as the official beginning of the program here. So my first big dream, was to create a blue flower color in winter hardy hibiscus, because such pigment does not exist in this species. And I had an idea. I have few plants. I have, considering the previous thoughts of my predecessors, how it can be done. So I was fortunate to be able to purchase all of the native hibiscuses that were grown in the United States and start crossing them very intensively. And very soon I noticed that there is a potential for a blue color. So the first bluish, it was not really blue, but bluish plant that we found in 2012, we released through Hard Science as a blue angel. It was not perfectly blue. It was more, I would say, purple, but especially in full sunlight. But in shade, especially when there were a couple of days of cloudy weather, the flowers have a tendency to have a bluish color. So we used this one single plant for further hybridizations. And right now we have, I don't even know how many, probably way over 25 different lines with different shades of blue. A few of them are here on this slide just for your information, but anything ranging from basically silver through dark purple and everything in between. The major breakout, I think, are the two on the left side. The bottom one, this is the first that I was able to introduce the trait of the dark leaves. They are not extremely dark yet, but it took forever to transfer this trait to a blue flowering hibiscus, but it happened. So we're working now with this line to increase the foliage color to more purple, which will be even more dramatic. And the upper part, it's depends also, it's still changing in the light, but it can be more blue than that, and it's one of the largest flowers. Problem also with the flower site I had from the beginning, one of the grandparents who contributed for the blue color, unfortunately had very small flowers, and it stayed like this for a long time. Now we broke this tendency, so we have now this flower is over 8 inches in diameter, so it's pretty decent size. This is just an example. You don't have to remember anything from that. But as I mentioned, the largest flowers we have, just to show you how much effort it took to breed it. It had 60 parents and grandparents and grandparents and 9 breeding cycles. So it's not easy. It's an extremely complicated hybrid, but very worthy. Other novel colors that we have developed in our program, another hybridizer dream in winter hardy hibiscus is orange and yellow. So this is not the first step to the orange. This is maybe 5th already, but we're getting there. As you can see, this is not red anymore. Another unique colors is magenta. It does not exist either. And the salmon color, that is kind of related to the pink one, to the orange one, or first step to the orange one. But I put these 2 flowers together because when I put it one, everybody says it's pink. It's not really pink. The next one is pink. Maroon color that will be commercialized and through the Texas A&M University, so soon will be on the market. I don't know yet what name it is we'll have, but it will be there. The grayish or silverish colors, as I said, also new colors. And then this is kind of like a new version of magenta with the very dark ribs in the petals. It's also very, very attractive trait in a hibiscus. Yellow. So is it possible to create a yellow color in winter hardy hibiscus? It was another dream also for years and years and years. Those of you who are familiar with winter hardy hibiscuses, cultivars on the market, you may know that there are 2. There's one very old called Old Yellow, and the other one, newer one, which is a newer version of that. It's called New Old Yellow. They had the yellow in the name, but the flowers are just a little bit more creamy than this. They had nothing to do with yellow. So this is our first hybrid that I created that had yellow color in the buds, as you can see, flower buds. They are totally yellow. But during the day, as the bud develops, unfortunately, the pigment is decomposed, most likely by the UV, and turn back to white or slightly creamish, which is not a bad thing. I mean, the good thing is that the pigment is already there. It has to be stabilized. It's exactly the same like with our first bluish hibiscus. It was not stable. We had to work a lot to stabilize this, but it was possible. Now, we also developed a full series of dual and multicolored flowers in winter hardy hibiscus. My special love is to these flowers here on this side. I call them batik flowers. If any of you used to be in India or Sri Lanka, you know what batik means. It's the pattern of the color. Extremely unique. There's nothing like this on the market yet. And so we have already several of them. The problem with winter hardy, with any plant breeding is that, I breed from flowers color or flower shape, unique stuff. But then, unfortunately, the plant that holds the flower may not be the best plant the commercial partner wants. And then the whole problem starts from the beginning, and then we have to, breed it, cross it back until we have a different shape of the plant and still keep the flower on them. So it's like a never-ending story with creating this and trying to make everybody happy how it looks at the end. So the dual colors, this is very interesting. The bottom right, it's a chimera. This is one of many, many variations how the flowers can look like. We also released this by Hort Science, through Hort Science in 2012 as under the name Robert Brown. And as I said, this is just one of the possible versions. The flower can have one or two totally white petals and the rest coral or with the stripes, or can be opposite, can have white background and coral stripes and anything in between. So each flower on the plant will be different. Another examples of multicolor and dual color flowers here. Especially I love all these combinations of the bluish and maroon. We have many of them in different shapes and colors right now. As I said, this is the development of the batik idea, how it can look also. And it's more like going into tropical flowers. We'll talk about this in a second. Another unique trait that appeared in our program around right actually at the beginning in 2010 was one plant with serrated petals, which looked kind of similar. Maybe they were not as big as here, as long as here, but similar to this was red flower. So I used this plant, and right now we have basically all colors but blue. I still cannot transfer this trait to the blue. It's very difficult. The blue has something strange in this. But we have all of the colors, and we hope that pretty soon will come on the market with another series of hibiscuses that all of them will have the serrated petals, but different colors. Another very exciting trait I found is so-called double-looking flowers. Flowers that give an impression of a presence of more than the typical 5 petals. As you can see, going from the left, when you look at this, it doesn't really look like a 5 petals, it looks like a peony flower. And at the end here, I was able to combine this trait with the serrated petals, so it looks like, I don't know, everything but not the hibiscus anymore. And believe it or not, but it still has 5 petals. The tropical looking flowers, as I mentioned, I will talk about this a little bit in a few minutes. But what I started to notice, as you can see in the blue one here, in the center of the flower, and the smoky one here in the center, here too, we started to get flowers with petals that are frilled inside. And this is a typical trait of a tropical hibiscus, not winter hardy. And I don't know from which parent it came, or most likely it just was a gene that was awakened and started to do the same thing. Okay, so now I would like to show you the Summer Spice Hibiscus collection that was commercialized by J. Berry Nursery in 2018. Originally, it had 8 lines or cultivars that they named with those colors here. Now there is more because they add every year something new to this series. But you can buy them at Lowe's, mostly at Lowe's and Home Depot, I guess. Of course, this is like a 3rd or 4th year. This will be 4th year of sales. So every year they have more and more to offer. They started with a few thousand plants. Like I think this year will be way over 100,000 plants to offer. But that's the first colors that came on the market. That makes our program totally different from any other program in the United States. Of course, immediately Jim Berry got 2 medals for the collection. One, the Medal of Excellence, the Reader's Choice Medal of Excellence, and the Editor Choice Medal of Excellence at the Cultivate 18. This is the first place when the hibiscuses were introduced. So this was our unique traits that we developed in the winter hardy hibiscus program for the past basically 11 years. The tropical hibiscus program is much newer. I was very reluctant to start this program for one reason. If you are interested in this, you can go to the International Hibiscus Society and see that there is way over 19,000 registered tropical hibiscus cultivars with absolutely any possible color combination, flower shape, and whatever you want. So When I look at this, my first thought was, and what else I can contribute to that? What else I can new I can find? So, but I started. Many of my colleagues pushed me to do that, to start tropical hibiscus breeding program. And this program is only right now 5 years old. So half of the time I worked on winter hardy. But even in this 5 years, past 5 years, we already are having colors that are nowhere, like the golden one here. There's this combination of colors. I call it a little tiger color. And then we have first maroon, tropical maroon hibiscus, which we'll be working on this pretty soon too, to commercialize that. Few examples of other, especially this one is extreme. There's nothing like this existing in the world. And I like the splashed one with the splashed colors. It depends. Some commercial partners not necessarily look for this type of flower, but I have over 1,000 followers on my Facebook page where I post this stuff, and absolute majority of them love these flowers. So these are people who will be buying them, and we have to consider this. So a few examples. Even strange flowers, I didn't have much space, but in summer, this particular line have this, I don't know, yellowish, reddish color like this. But when it gets colder in winter, the flower turns totally red, absolutely red. So it's like a different plant in winter and different plant in summer. The unique trait in tropical hibiscus that we found, I call it iris type or iris-like flowers, hibiscuses. I wouldn't say it's totally unique. There is one single species of hibiscus that has similar flowers actually to the yellow one here. It's called Hilo Island, and it's native to Hawaii. I was lucky to purchase this plant one time. It stayed alive probably for about a month in my greenhouse, but it bloomed several times. So before it died, I was able to introduce the genes to my plants. And now we have pretty much most of the colors, basic colors, in with the shape of the original plant. So I call it the iris type. We're still working on blue, dark blue, tropical hibiscuses, of course. And again, like with the blue winter hardy, there is very difficult to introduce like double petals or this type of shape of a flower to a blue hibiscus, tropical hibiscus. Another unique trait that I believe is only here in our program, I haven't seen anything in the world, that we call it, hibiscuses with prostrate growth habit. We call it hanging basket type. Everything started with the plant to the left, which is actually a hybrid with Hibiscus schizopetalus. And one of those plants in the population was growing on the floor, was not growing up. So we use this plant as a start. It's not the best plant, but it's okay. So we have now something like this from this plant that is even more prostrate. It doesn't produce any stems growing up. Also have very nice flowers. And there's another one that also is very prostrate, but with much bigger flowers. So we also have to consider that you have to have some balance. You cannot have too big flowers for a small plant because it looks strange. So I don't know if this one will go, but we can still work with this one. But anyway, there's a progress. Apparently, the trait is heritable in a certain way. So we working now with a commercial partner, one of them, who is interested in this type of hibiscus as a new product on the market. So what is the impact of our hibiscus breeding program? So we have created and evaluated over 22,000 winter hardy and about 2,000 tropical hibiscus during 2010-2021. And we have disclosed 487 novel winter hardy, and 226 tropical hibiscus hybrids to Texas A&M Office of Technology commercialization as of 2021. About 100 of them are evaluated by our commercial partners. The first 8 winter hardy hibiscus cultivars were commercialized by J. Berry Nursery under the trade name Summer Spice Hibiscus in 2018. Our hibiscus breeding program is one of the most advanced breeding programs worldwide. And in 2001, I was recognized by the Texas Senate in the resolution number 30 for the extraordinary achievements in hibiscus breeding and significant contribution to the science and the state of Texas. Also, the city of Vernon was proclaimed by the Texas Senate the hibiscus capital of Texas. This year we'll have the first hibiscus festival in June. Everybody is invited. So now the second part of the presentation, phenotypic similarities in flower characteristics between winter hardy and tropical hibiscus hybrids. This presentation, most of the presentation, was published in a manuscript in 2019. So in November 2019, so about a little over 2 years ago. This is the title of the publication. And I just want to show you what we started to see in our collections. On the left side, you will always have a winter hardy hybrid. And on the right side, corresponding or very similar tropical hibiscus cultivar that is released somewhere. So it looks like that. So you can see, I'm not saying they're identical, but I would say 99% similar. And this was the first example I have seen. And then I started to look closer and I saw that there is something else. There is more like this. Here, for example, the veins, the rays in our hybrid and then tropical hibiscus. So something like this does not exist really in winter hardy hibiscuses yet, except here. Splashes like that. You know, this is not coincidental, cannot be coincidental. The dual colors, like when I was able to combine the blue and maroon, of course there is a blue and maroon tropical hibiscus. For example, again, the color, the unique color, which is kind of like a light red with the rays, and the chariots of fire, the tropical hibiscus that looks almost identical to that. This is very easy too. The white ones. It has in this hybrid a lot of Hibiscus coccinose, but it lost the red color. Now it's white, and a tropical one that looks very similar too. It's another pair of very similar tropical and winter. Winter hardy and tropical, totally white. Again, this is winter hardy, complicated hybrid. It has, but it has coccinose too in it, and then a tropical one that it has also the ribs, and it looks very, very similar. And this is, I think, the most curiosal one. When I published this picture, this is our winter hardy hybrid. When I published this picture on Facebook, a few days later, I got a message from this guy, George Charles from Mauritius, who sent me a picture of his tropical hibiscus and said, hey, it has exactly the same flower, so how yours can be winter hardy? I said, I don't know, but mine has nothing to do with tropical hibiscus at all. And so we were really interested how this can be possible, that they have the same flowers. And this is very new. I noticed this year. For the first time in our winter hardy hibiscuses, we have created the trait of the enormous eye and extending into rays to the end of the petals, exactly like it is in tropical hibiscus. So I think we have a new opportunities here with this line to make the flowers even more tropical looking. As mentioned, this manuscript we published in November 2019. Now I'm laughing. It was very difficult to publish this. It was not a manuscript that all the reviewers were used to, but it was published, and within a little over 2 years, it got over 10,000 views and is in the 9% of the most viewed manuscripts on the platform Frontiers. So the impact is extremely high. So summarizing the whole idea that the winter hardy eventually flowers will look like tropicals even at what point. We think that the applied breeding strategy means the broadening genetic variability by interspecific hybridization amongst hibiscus species in the section Mancusia has resulted in a rapid development of novel flower colors in herbaceous winter hardy hibiscus and appearing of the first hybrids that closely resemble modern tropical hibiscus hybrids, despite a long history of divergent evolution between these two groups. For scientists, the fundamental question is whether the observed similarities are coincidental or resulting from convergent evolution, or if by creating novel gene recombinations, we have enabled a transcription of silent genes that have been inherited by winter hardy hibiscus from the common ancestor with tropical hibiscus species and may regulate the expression of similar traits. These novel herbaceous winter hardy hibiscus hybrids are adapted to temperate environments and will significantly increase the assortment of tropical-looking perennial ornamentals in cooler climates. So thank you. This is my 4th of July picture of winter hardy hibiscuses. I would glad to answer any question now.
Thank you, Dariusz. Let's speaker around. Questions? Questions? Who's got a question?
I have a question.
Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, the tropical hibiscus had many, many more cultivars than the winter hardy. Do you know why that is? Does it have like a shorter cycle time? Is it easier to breed or something?
No, the tropical hibiscus has been of interest, as I mentioned, for over 400 years.
Okay.
And bred mostly in Asia, in all countries in Asia, independently. So that's why there is so enormous variability and a number of cultivars that has been released in this time. While the winter hardy hibiscus, this is, as I mentioned, they grow on all continents, but those that are of interest of the ornamental plants, they are basically US species. And here, the breeding probably dates back to about, as I mentioned, 60, 70 years right now. So it's way much shorter than the tropical hibiscus. And also, I don't know, maybe what was the reason that it didn't go that quickly, or they didn't hybridize as extensively. Those winter hardy hibiscus is difficult to say. But as I said, it could be broken. Now we have new colors. We'll have many more new colors. So we are on the same path, like 400 years ago they started with the tropicals.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, my question for you is, once you guys have created the cultivars that you guys are satisfied with, such as like the ones in the collection, how do you guys scale up those to sell them, to like make as many enough to sell in the stores? Is that by vegetative propagation, or do these breed true to seed if you sell them?
Well, first, we do not sell anything to any stores. We supply material to our commercial partners, and they produce the plants and sell them. You can do this with in vitro. They are very easy to propagate in vitro. We tried, and it was very, very easy. Some commercial partners prefer the vegetative propagation by cuttings, the traditional one. Some other will go in vitro propagation. You can't do this from the seeds. As you understand it now, they are so complicated, the hybrids, that if you plant seeds from a self-pollination or cross-pollination, you have absolutely everything, but nothing similar to the parent. They're so variable. I can plant seeds from a blue self-pollination of a blue hibiscus, and I will have any color but blue in this set.
So if you want a blue one, the trick is to grab a red one and let it produce seeds.
Now, if you have two or three, two blues or so, the chances are you will have a blue offspring. But one blue, not necessarily.
Hello. Another question is just my actually curiosity. You mentioned on the dual or multicolor flowers that you detect some chimeras. So is that common? Is it hard to separate from the regular descendants or something?
No, we so far we found only one chimera, and as I said, this plant, when it blooms, each flower is different on the plant. It's like typical chimera flower. So whatever the pattern of the color develops in the flower is totally coincidental.
Thank you.
So I have another question. It looks like most of your program right now is based off of phenotypic selection. Would it be beneficial for you to have more genetic resources for hibiscus, or is that just an additional cost at this point that wouldn't help your program?
Well, you have to understand, I'm one person having 3 breeding programs, and I would love to do something else, but I can't. But I'm open. You know, this is a huge collection. This is a huge, I mean, when it comes to genetic variability, a huge collection. And if anybody over there at your department is interested in doing more research on that, you are welcome here. You are welcome to come and use anything what you want.
Other questions? Sure.
Hello. Have you noticed working with Alstroemeria under certain abiotic stresses, it affects the flower presentation? Have you noticed similar things long-term in the F1 or F1-2 generations, placing the hibiscus under certain stresses?
Could you repeat what affects the flower appearance?
Abiotic stress, specifically with Alstroemeria, it's drought conditions.
Yes, of course. I don't know if you know, but Vernon is probably the hottest place in Texas in summer, and our plants bloom pretty good until about end of July, and then when it hits like every day 104 and hot nights, then they go through a wave of setting back, and they will bloom, but the flowers will be much smaller, even if you water them. It's just too hot. Many of my
I meant long-term in terms of genetic epigenetic constraints. If the grandparent experienced a prolonged period of stress in Alstroemeria, that'll carry over for a generation or two in some varieties. And those flowers will be smaller, less colorful, and won't have as many.
No, that's not what I see. No. If you have varieties with huge flowers, they will have huge flowers. But when it's so hot and stressful for a month or 6 weeks, the flowers will be smaller no matter what. But next year they will be the same size they were before. I mean, huge. Also, we have many of these lines more north in United States when it's cooler, and over there they don't have these problems. The flowers are the same size all season long. So yeah, stress in this hibiscus type, stress, especially heat stress, will cause the flowers to develop smaller, but only under the stress. It's not like it is going to be forwarded to the next generation. No.
Other questions? Oh boy, the chat. So, are there any characteristics that allow you to identify if a hibiscus is winter hardy type or is a tropical type?
Well, they are so different that you don't really have to think very much about them. The tropical are totally different from winter hardy. The plant, how it looks like. as I mentioned, winter hardy, all of them are herbaceous. They look like shrubs, but they have to die in winter, before winter. No matter if they grow in the greenhouse or in the field, you can keep them in a hot greenhouse, they will die too. They have to go through a dormancy, winter dormancy. So only the roots survive basically. And then in spring, on the herbaceous winter hardy types, new stems will grow from the roots. While on tropical is evergreen shrub. So as long as the temperature is above probably 55, it will be alive. It will drop below 55 for an extended period of time. Even tropical hibiscus will die, even if it's not freezing.
What's your favorite variety, Dariusz?
Pardon?
Which is your favorite flower?
I don't have a favorite one.
It's
I like all of them.
transparent.
I don't have a favorite one. You know how heartbreaking it is every year when, for example, with the tropicals, you know, we have very limited greenhouse space for evaluating the plants, and it takes about a year from planting seed to blooming and to final decision, should I keep the plant or not? And so, you know, we plant thousands of seedlings, then of course there is first selection. Then some of them will be repotted in bigger pots and to let bloom. And then, you know, we leave maybe 10% of this or so, and all the rest has to be unfortunately trashed. And they all look good, and it's really heartbreaking every time throwing them away and knowing that that's it, they just gone. The same with the winter hardy. I mean, eventually they grow for a few years in the field. We evaluate them, and if they served their purpose, if we have better now than the previous parents, then the parents are destroyed, and the space is used for the next generation. So
That is tragic.
it's just like a selection, but I love all of them.
I have a question.
So which one's paying the greatest royalties? Which
Well,
one do you get the most
I
royalties from?
haven't seen royalties yet, but I think the winter hardy will pay more than tropicals.
That's the heart of the matter, isn't it? How many dollars are in it?
Mm-hmm.
Dariusz, I grow, you know, I am limited to the stuff that we have down here, and I've never seen winter hardy at Lowe's or Home Depot. But there's lots of tropical stuff, and I grow tropical hibiscus. And occasionally, you know, I've tried to cross these things, and I've had basically 100% failures. What's the trick to pollinating these?
No, the tropical will never cross with winter hardy. That's absolutely impossible.
No, I'm not talking with a tropical.
Well, as I mentioned, temperature is probably the major problem. You can try crossing the winter, or if you have tropicals, try to cross them early in the morning and during cooler time of the year, not like, you know, the hottest you have over there, because the pollen will die when it's over 90, I think 3 degrees or something. So if you do this earlier in the season or early in the morning, that they have a chance still to pollinate the plant, you may get seeds. Also, some of the cultivars or lines, they don't want to produce any seeds, and I have many of them in my collection too. I tried in different ways, and it's just never is going to produce a seed. But the pollen that I use from them eventually will pollinate other plants. So it's just sometimes, you know, they are picky too. They are picky.
Are they self-compatible?
Yeah, no, you can self-pollinate them, all of them, the winter hardy and the tropicals too.
All right. There's
But as I
another.
mentioned, there may be problems sometimes.
Yeah, it's probably the heat. I'm guessing. There's another question in the chat here. Nahong asks, how did you get these various colors of hibiscus? Oh, he didn't paint them. You don't use spray paint for this, right? It's from breeding. So is it getting from genetic breeding or just natural collection?
Well, the original one that I mentioned, the 5 species of the winter hardy that I collected from United States, They were collected from nurseries, and I started with them, and everything what we developed is from those plants. And when you look back on this, so there were, one of them was red, that is coccineus, pink, 2 or 3 white, and one kind of pinkish. So the range of colors was very limited in those two, but by creating new combinations, probably we got what we got.
There's definitely some interesting genetics going on here.
Mm-hmm.
These things must be, I think they must be primed to generate new floral forms as part of their evolutionary program.
Mm-hmm.
Because you started off with such a limited sample of stuff, and you end up with such a tremendously wide range of phenotypes. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty impressive, really. What about cattle? Do they like to forage on these hibiscus?
No, but we know that deer avoids them as much as they can. So if you plant around your property, probably deer will not go there.
Okay. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Let's thank Dariusz again. Very interesting seminar, Dariusz.
Thank you very much, Scott. Thanks.
Next week, we got student presentations, and it's a jam-packed adventure because we got 3, so we'll be going for an hour and a half.